Accept your death.
In the nearly decade that I've been doing this, yesterday for some reason something just clicked about like how much I've had to learn about technology and like video and audio and white balancing and green screens and like different filters and stuff that you use to make these videos sound and look the way they do. And my production value is not even like like half of what like the big YouTubers are. But it's still like just impressive to myself, I guess, for the small amount of confidence that I have, just how much it actually takes to make these things work and sound good and be appealing. Because I think we've all clicked on a YouTube video and the audio's been terrible and you've just been, I can't sit through this. I'll find this information elsewhere. It's kind of the worst, right?
Mm-hmm. I've had that conversation earlier this week, as a matter of fact. That comes up quite a bit. And, you know, the first thing I notice about you when I watch your videos is that it doesn't sound like you're sitting inside a bathroom or a big empty room or whatever with your voice bouncing off the walls, right? Nice, warm, direct sound from the microphone.
I try and keep it that way. Sometimes I spike my levels because I'm talking too close to my microphone, but I really don't want it to sound like tinny or anything
You know
like
what
that.
I'm talking about when people, do you have your microphone too far away and then you can hear the voice bouncing off the walls and things? It loses a lot of low end and gets like kind of like tinty and reverby, right?
Yeah, it took me a long
You ever
time.
talking to anybody on the phone and all of a sudden their voice starts sounding really reverbed and then you start hearing what sounds like a stream of water hitting a puddle of water and you're like, wait a second.
What's going on
here?
What are you doing?
That's what I think of. That's what I think of when I hear people's microphones and they sound like that. I'm just kidding. That's harsh, right? But
I mean, no, I'm
it's the same
way.
effect, right? It's the reverb, right? But anyway, you know, kudos to you. You got that nice podcast mic,
Hey,
sound going for you.
It's a big upgrade from my $10 Walmart headset microphone that I used when I started. So it's somehow I got here.
That was atrocious. That sounded like the ATF was raiding your house by helicopter.
That's a good analogy. I like that. Speaking of that, a few of you rated our comment section last week, so we should probably go over that pretty good with you.
Oh, all right. I think that's another 3.5 we'll give you this time.
On the Hater Raider.
the Hater Raider.
I like that. The Hater Raider. That's my new thing now. I'm waiting for the day I get a 0 or a 0.5 because it'll come.
Oh, it's coming.
Oh, it's coming. It's a matter of time. It's not if, it's when.
I'm confident. That's how confident I am.
I like that. I like that confidence. Starting with a regular Roundies part. AZE Plays says, Hater deserves a raise for that Dark Dink bit. Ghosted. If it doesn't happen, I'm going to be big sad. It's funny because I actually didn't ever expect to play that character. But I gotta agree, that idea is just like way too good. Like, it's way ghosted. I'll have to find my hat. I hid it away somewhere.
You could like, do you know what would be so funny is if you couldn't find the mask or whatever and you just painted your face like really bad, like it just kind of like, but it would have to look enough like it that people knew what you were going for, but still look bad. Or maybe cut the face out of it so it's just the long, elongated mouth, right? And just the chin part of it, but like
just
your chin sticking out the front of it, so you cut out like the nose and the eyes or whatever, and you're wearing it just kind of, like when people put those little costumes on dogs and it's just their furry face sticking out the front of like something with 2 arms and 2 legs or whatever.
That's you've really thought this through.
This is all off. Hey, this is all off the cuff. That's how inspired I am by this idea, because I hadn't even thought about it. So you just read that comment again, and I gotta say, this commenter deserves a raise for spelling my handle correctly. And without derailing anything too much, I was thinking about it. So you sent these to me in advance so I could like think about it for a second. So I guess,
Right.
I've had that long to think about the ghosted thing. But it's like when you raid somebody, because you have like no one gets Shujinkydink on the first try if they've never heard it out loud.
That's
So I was
true.
just kind of curious that when you raid people or you comment for the first time or you follow somebody and they're like, "Oh, hey, thanks." What do you get the most? Like, what are your top three?
Um, I can really tell who knows me and who doesn't by how they greet me initially. So like sometimes they'll just say, "Oh, Shujinkydink, I love your videos or whatever, blah blah blah. I've seen you." Um, Other times I can see them. They're like, "Oh, thanks so much," and then just a pause as they're seeing my name and they're really like thinking about. And then they
Are you
just
trying to get me to say the N word or something?
right.
Like, how people will do that, right? They'll follow with these like phonetically
Yeah,
tricky things to try to get you to say something you shouldn't.
it's true. But yeah, and then they'll just pause, and sometimes they'll give it a shot. Sometimes they'll just say, thanks, I followed you back," or something like that. So, even though, whatever, it's not what I'm doing. And then I'd say the third one is like Shu or Shuji is like, and that's how I know that you really have no idea who I am. Because like,
Shuji.
Shuji, nobody calls me that. So.
Shuji. And then the ones that know, right? They're like, "Hey, Dink," like your Norm walking to the Cheers bar or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Dink,
yeah,
what's up,
exactly.
Dink?
Yeah, Dink is like the classic, That's how I know that you like know me, like I've been around for a minute, so like, but that means I'm old, is what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, I split a lot of my time between fighting games and like soul streams and stuff, and there's definitely like patterns. Fighting game streamers are way worse at pronouncing mine right the first time. And it's not like I can fault them for that, right? But it's pretty funny how like every Mortal Kombat streamer, um not all of them. This goes back to like Rio when I used to like watch Rio and stuff a lot. Like upcoming to like MK11, and he called me hot tier, and it kind of became like a meme. But like everybody does that. I get that more than anything else. Hot tier,
Hot
hot
tier,
tier,
hat tier,
yeah. And hey, Hatter, yeah, like the
hatter.
Mad Hatter.
Oh, okay. That would be two
I
T's
always
though.
say, I always say, hater with a D, like Bill Hader's last name.
Oh, hater with a D.
That makes it seem less agey, like it's less edgy, like it's player hater. I'm
That's
just like,
fair.
no, no, no.
Did I
Like
pronounce it
Bill
right?
Hader.
Like the first time you came into one of my streams, did I pronounce that right? I don't remember back in the day. I might have messed it up. I do that sometimes, but usually I'm not too
Yeah,
bad.
I actually don't remember.
I think that's a good thing then. Let's just say for the Dink hater lore, that's how we became friends. Was I was able to pronounce
You
it
got it right
correctly
on the first try.
first first shot. Moving on here.
That's a good story.
Let's not derail too much here. So Ed4131 says, add more cameo skins, and I couldn't agree with this more. I think that they're a little bit overlooked as far as skins go. Shujinko specifically, obviously, because I'm biased. He has like one skin with 5 palettes. Like, can we get? How easy would it be to put in like a young Shujinko or like a middle-aged Shujinko? From like the story mode.
Yeah, I'm super surprised that we have extra skins like the MK3 skins for like Sonya and Jax and stuff, and we don't have any for Subzero or Scorpion. What's going on with that? And they gave just Frost one from this new Invasion. She's got some skins.
Yeah.
And still, no Scorpion or Sub-Zero. There's a Twitch drops started on Tuesday, I think, with the Ghostface thing, and there are Twitch skins for Frost and Sub-Zero. Speaking of, so like a dark, like what they normally do, like the really saturated,
Right.
like Twitch purple, and then like a lighter version of that. Those are usually a little bit too purple for my taste. Like the Ashrah one looks super sick, but it's just like a little bit too purple. Like it was, you know,
Like a little bit too
colored
bright.
with a marker or something. Yeah,
Right.
it does kind of detracts from the overall, but otherwise cool.
The Sareena one looks cool. I like that one a lot. But like Sereena's
Yeah.
design is just cool. I don't know how you would give her a different skin. I mean, maybe I can't remember what her Armageddon ones look like. If one of those would kind of
She
work.
should She should have a Sonya Halloween costume skin where she comes out in the camo MK3 outfit, and she's even got her hair pulled back in a ponytail. That would be funny.
But it's just like Demon Sareena. That would be quite funny, actually.
Wouldn't that be? And then we could do, like a Freaky Friday. Who else could we dress up? That'd be funny.
I don't know. I don't know who else you could dress up. The possibilities are endless. Kano's another one.
Like in Farrah in Striker's like cop uniform.
Oh my god.
Put Farrah's armor on Darius and stuff.
That's a cursed image right there.
Motaro can wear one of those ninja tabard things.
Actually, that might not look too bad, to be honest. I think you could maybe make that work. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be funny.
That's NRS. You need to implement that for next Halloween, please. I demand it of you.
But we do need more cameo skins. I agree. There needs to be more variety and ways to make things distinct because there's usually only one cool color per cameo, and everybody chooses that color. So when you have a cameo mirror, if you weren't the first person to select it, when I was playing Impulse, right, and I was playing Melina Sector versus his Raiden Sector, and the obvious choice is the black one with the red accents, right? That's what we both had. But since he picked it first, it gave me the opposite color, which is the candy cane one, which is all white with the red accents. Like, it's all peppermint all up in this bitch, and I can't be having any of that. It takes me out of the whole,
aesthetic.
Yeah. Come on now.
I get it.
Just let me choose a secondary that it can default to, or choose one of my favorites of nothing else. Don't be giving me that shit. But anyway, more cameo skins. More
cameo skins. Everyone agrees. Last comment here. Speaking of which, I think I'm going to take a shot at this name here. Redijun 2593. I think has a dog wearing a beanie in a profile picture. It's very cute. Please never buff Smoke or Subzero. And boy, howdy, do we have news for you.
Yeah, we got bad news for you, friend.
There are some changes.
We've gotten some details since we last talked.
Yeah.
Since that comment was written.
Yeah, there's been some some information. Don't get me wrong. I'm with you. This hurts me more than you know. Okay, this hurts me more than you know. We are going to talk about the balance changes, but first I kind of wanted to go over the replay takeover feature that they're adding into this game, because I am super stoked for that, and I'm going to use the crap out of that. I might actually make that like a regular thing on my streams.
No, it's really good. It'll be really good for coaching and stuff too, right? Like when you're in lessons, you can just go right in and it's like, shit, I don't know this matchup either. I don't really play your character, but then you just kind of like, take over the replay and try it just like they did in the Kombat cast, and other games have that. It's not like, what I like the most about it is not the feature itself, but the fact that it shows that NRS has heard us loud and clear. Like they were once like setting the standard for quality of life things in fighting games with practice mode and by perfecting frame data and like really early on the rollback sort of thing. But they have been writing their own coattails for too many games now. They haven't modernized. And so this is them saying like, you know what, we agree. And here we go. Now we have online practice mode. Even though we've had that before, right? This is a new feature, but it's still a step in the mod. Like I would not be surprised if the next step is that we're finally gonna be able to sit in practice mode while we're searching for ranked matches instead of looking at a blank screen.
Yes.
For 10 minutes waiting for something to connect. I can see that in the future. I feel like this. I hope this is part of their vision. So I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, it seems like, and I completely agree. I don't want to reiterate your previous points. They kind of led the way as far as the practice mode stuff goes, but then kind of failed to keep up. So I'm stoked on this, and I've mentioned this before, that like it's just a lot of my problems with labbing things are that I don't want to I don't really care to learn like the setups that I have to work around. Right?
I swear we were just talking about that on the last podcast too, right? Like when you were complaining about Smoke, and I was like, yeah, like you're supposed to go in and learn all these tight cancels or whatever just to see what you can do off of it and stuff. Like you kind of are forced to learn it in a matchup and just kind of like, okay, I can poke here, I can do like, but trying to duplicate it yourself, they very deliberately use the Cyrex bomb setups on the Kombat cast.
100%.
And I think that feeds into the same example, right? You don't have to learn all that bullshit. Go back to a replay where someone did all that bullshit to you and then just sit there and try to get out of it and try all of your options, and then you know for next time. I think that's so good. I'm very excited.
I I hope it's implemented well. It's a really cool idea. Sometimes new things that NRS put in tend to be a little janky sometimes. I don't really know how they would mess this up. I probably shouldn't, commentators curse it kind of a thing, but like, I'm just hoping it works.
Because we got online practice mode, but it's like monkey, the finger on the monkey paw curled, and it's got so much lag you
Right.
can't even do like some. It's like it feels worse than a bad Combat League match. It feels
Yes.
very muddy, very sluggish in there, and there are spikes here and there. But even without the spikes, it's like now it's like I feel like I changed my input buffer window or something. Now I can't connect any combos, let alone like the tighter stuff.
Yeah.
So
So I'm hoping that it works out and it works as intended. So we'll see on Tuesday, I guess.
Yep.
Just a couple days away now. Okay, so now let's get into some of the balance stuff, and this is what I was like super stoked like all week to go over with you, especially the one that I'm starting with here because I know that you're excited for these is Ashrah and Frost, and
yeah.
I watched the Combat
We're,
Cast this morning to kind of like just freshen up my mind about this, and
mhm.
I didn't really understand like how that kind of worked with her, and it doesn't. I
Which
guess
one are you talking about? Are you talking about Frost or are you talking about Ashrah?
talking about Ashrah.
Okay.
So if I understand correctly from watching the clips, like you can do like your launch or whatever in the heaven mode, and like while you're doing your launching special move, you tap the button and it puts you into your dark mode, and you can kind of end your combo in dark mode so you can get those kind of stacks or whatever. I think that's how that works.
So when you spend bar on a special move, which she does all the time, right? So armored wake up. Her DP or down forward 3, right? Her big combo extender.
Right.
So like the flash parry, her down back 2, the little twirly sword things. Anytime that you're spending meter on those, if you hold the stance switch button, it's going to automatically switch you to the stance that you're not in, which means that when you're harassing the shit out of people in hell mode and you've got 3 debuffs or even 1 debuff, right? And then you open them up, you don't have to. So say you open them up with the 2-1, which is the crumple, right? You spend that hit advantage switching back to your stance or going into a cameo that allows you to do it or something, and then you can do your heaven stuff and capitalize on the debuffs combo sometimes, or you end it a certain way and then try to use that hit advantage to go back into heaven. So now you have the advantage with the debuffs. So now you can do it in the middle of a combo. So if you're in hell and they have the debuffs and you get your 2-1, well, as soon as you do your meter burn down forward 3, you can hold that stance switch, go into your heaven mode, and then do whatever it is in the combo for either the extra damage or whatever you want. I'm excited to play with that, to see kind of what's going to be like. Because that's why I use Mavado with her, so I can do shit just like that. So when I'm using a bar, if I can just cut him out of the equation, that opens up more cameo possibilities for me personally.
Oh, that's
Because
true.
if I can get access in and out by just spending bard that I'm spending like anyway, I feel like that might even be a funner combo flow, and a way to balance meter spending and stuff, which opens up. And if they're buffing, we'll talk about later, right? Sareena and stuff too. And Ashrah Sareena is already a really good team. So man,
Yeah, this
Ashrah stocks are going up, and she's already really strong.
This change is seems very like reminiscent of what Stephanie was saying, is how they're like not necessarily trying to mess with the balance so much, but just make characters like more fun to play. And like
Yeah, and like you can express yourself a certain, like people want expression through their that was the big complaint in MK11, is that everybody played all the characters the same way. Everything was all like homogenized. There was no real like distinctions. Like this is before like custom variations and stuff, especially, right? Not enough variation in the character itself for people to be able to do like different things. Like here's an aggressive version of this character versus a more kind of they like to play more defensive and mid range, or but it both works with the character. It's just player flavor sort of thing. MK1 has a lot of that, so I feel like NRS is really increasing that with every patch. It's just a matter of what character's turn is next, and this time it's Ashrah and a couple others we'll get to.
Yeah, I think MK1 is in the best spot that an NRS game has ever been in. And I think if you're someone who tried MK1 off release and just said, nope, don't like it, going back to MKX or MK11 or whatever, give it another shot. Because, like, man, it is so fun. It's, especially
I
after
agree.
playing MKX recently, like, it is just so fun. There's just so many things you can do. And, like, just going in, even if you just want to go practice mode. I was bored the other day, just randomized character and cameo and just started to see what they did. So I think I got I got randomly enough Homelander and Sonya, I think. So I was trying to just work on like some dive kick stuff with his float and stuff, and I don't know.
Right.
But there's just so much stuff you can do.
I'm no MK1 apologist. I'm on record, especially early on, right? Like there was no love lost between me and this game, and I feel like they've made, despite the sour launch and stuff like that, the state of the game right now, I feel like is the most fun I've had with an NRS game, probably like ever, right? Because I'm playing more of the characters that I want to play, like in Mortal Kombat. I feel like Injustice 2, I don't know if I'm in the majority or the minority when I like Injustice 2 is very high up on my list for like favorite games. Like I would put that game above like some others that not to start any controversy here.
No,
but
no.
MK11's on the bottom for me for sure, like the very bottom.
Yeah, I think at one point we went through and we kind of ranked them all, or maybe I just thought about that idea. But MK11 was on the bottom for me too. That game is just not fun. It's okay. Like the balance is fine because like everybody does the same things, and it's outside of like the top 3. But anyways,
but I have Scarlet in there. I love Scarlet. She's like the big like redeeming quality.
That is true
for me.
I think that's the biggest W for that game. The redesign. I remember being at the reveal event and like seeing her walk on screen and like just the energy in that room was insane.
Man, when we were watching the reveal and it was like, because they panned up from her legs, it was that intro that goes from like ground up while she's conjuring the blood construct or whatever in her hand. And the second I saw that sort of blood thing, I was like, oh my God, is that Scarlet? And then it goes up to her, big red lipstick, and it's like easy to like infer what's going on. That was such a cool little reveal that had me so excited for her.
NRS does that really well just in general. Like their reveals for characters and stuff are just always top tier. Like even characters that I don't really care about, I get excited about, So they're really good at that. They're props to their marketing department or whatever.
Or whatever.
I don't know who does that stuff. I'm not in there. I'm not in there.
So Frost got buffed again. Frost is getting buffed again.
Yeah. So how big do you think this change is for her? It's pretty straightforward. You just use the crash to break the wall. That'll be a full cameo meter
to break the wall and get a launch. And if you're a character that can already do combos and stuff, you don't really need the launch. It might give you, just the extra little bit of gravity you need to end in some sort of like setup or whatever. Like, I feel like everyone's gonna. I'm excited to see how it's gonna pan out because I can see it going like either way. The thing to understand first and foremost, especially if you don't play before you think that this is like too broken, like if you don't play the Frost cameo, when the Frost wall has to be out first, and then when the ice crash connects against the wall, you get like a little bit of a launch. When the Frost wall is up, the cameo is grayed out and it will not recharge. It's stuck there at half of a cameo or, half less than when it started, right? Until the ice wall is gone. And it can either expire after time or throws and other throw-like animations like Natara's back forward 2 and Ermac 1, 2, 3, 1+3, things like that will break it and stuff early. Then a few seconds later, it starts recharging. So to get this launch, you need to have full cameo meter and you're spending the entire resource. It doesn't matter how late in that Frost Wall combo the ice crash is coming, it hasn't started recharging anyway. So that is like a full resources, I feel like, to clutch out a game or whatever, it'll be good. I don't expect to see it in like a staple B&Bs unless like the scaling super, super good or, a character can get their launch that way instead of a spending a bar for it or something.
Certainly an interesting change that I didn't really see coming. So if I'm thinking about this correctly, if you had like 3/4 of your cameo meter and you put up the wall, the crash is a no-go for you because you'd have a quarter of your cameo bar.
You can't do anything. No orb setup, no wall, no So no orb setup, no ice crash, no nothing. So Sector, for example, she can do anything in a teleport into the frost wall and start doing a little corner combo, and she's got enough gravity to get the ice crash there. I'll test that as soon as the patch hits to kind of see if that's more damage or better than what she already gets with just the ice wall itself. But I think it might be like better for like when the ice wall's already up. Like you end a combo in it, like how I played like with Natara or something, right? You get the close dive kick splat at the end with the ice wall there, so you're like right up on their nuts, and you can get the blood sacrifice and still have a turn. And then if I could hit confirm, say like or if I just do like forward one into ice crash or whatever, and that hits, and then I get a launch, and I do standing four into the leap of faith into a dive kick, and now you're in a fucking Natara combo. Off an ice wall setup, and that combo's so long, and she's self-sufficient without the cameo, right? Like I could see that working really well for Natara. Actually, that's actually going on my list right now.
Nice.
To check out, because I hadn't thought about it, so we were just talking about it just now, but I think that might actually be pretty good.
Feels very deliberate.
It's plus on block. It's +4 on block.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, you can match Natara out of it if she's doing it off of like 4-1, right? But that's just how that string works for her, and that's not like a frost problem. That's a there's a reason
problem.
There's a gap in that string. It has no cancel advantage. So
that's true. That is fair.
So yeah, I'm gonna fuck around with that for sure. All right, good talk, Dink. Good talk.
Thanks, Cater.
Yeah.
So, small change to Geras. Oh, maybe not small, but like. Now he has an enhanced command grab that kind of bounces, which is kind of turning him more and more into like a grappler archetype that this game is kind of missing, which I welcome. I don't play grapplers, nor do I enjoy playing grapplers, but I'm happy for people that enjoy that archetype. How useful this will be, I'm not really sure. I think I've seen some skepticism from some Geras players, but I mean, it's definitely a change. It's something. We'll see what the scaling's like on it.
A Geras player will hit you for 600 damage and no combo or whatever, and be like, yeah, but his down one sucks. Yeah, but his newt sucks. They'll hit you with like an OTG, the most disgusting setup for over half of your health. Like, it doesn't even matter like where the number is. Yeah, that costs full resources, and his down one sucks, right? He's still. And I get it. Like, he definitely, his pokes fucking suck, and he struggles in neutral. When he gets going, though, like his win conditions and stuff like that, that stuff is crazy. He's super meter intensive. You need a lot of meter coming in to be able to sustain Geras's game plan,
Yeah, 100%.
And again, now you're spending, you can spend bar on the command grab to not really get anything guaranteed, right? If you have a cameo, you can, time it with that, and then that gives you enough time to recover from the grab and go into snap. That's what they showed on the Kombat cast with the Kano knives.
Yep.
We'll see what they start cooking. Like right away, Mavado. So Mavado takes away 50 health, so that'd make him a 900 health character. But the forward kick from that would absolutely.
Oh yeah, that'd be huge.
That'll just kick him right back to Geras, right? And he could. Who knows what the gravity's like? I have no idea. But so off of a tick grab, I wonder what the scaling would be like, because they're definitely paying attention after that Homelander stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I would hope, right? So if he just tick grabs you, that's probably gonna have throw combo scaling, and hopefully that doesn't do half your life. We'll see.
I think I saw Ultra David on Twitter mentioned that Geras is like the only character who people are constantly finding tech for, constantly doing well in tournaments, and people still have him as like the worst character in the game. So it's
and he finished that tweet saying, "I'm not even sure I disagree with that, right? But that's how cool the character is. Is that even with all of this shit, he's still kind of like." It's kind of mid, right? Because he's missing some of the things that you really need to keep up with, like the top tier characters in this game. That's where he really struggles.
Right.
I feel like it's at a high level. Like when you're doing Tampa Never Sleeps, you're doing Coliseum, all this stuff, right? If you're like a top 8 player, a top 16 player, you're working really hard as Geras against some of this other stuff that's out here. Not to take away from anybody else's skill or commitment or like whatever, but Geras definitely struggles in that setting, so I get it for sure. But down here with the rest of us in the trenches or whatever, that character's a fucking nightmare. Like,
yeah, if you're not in the 1%, you're getting toasted by this dude. It's unfortunate. So we got 3 characters that they showed off in this next bundle here: Quan, Sareena, and Kitana. And they didn't specifically mention anything with Quan. The only thing that I kind of saw that might be a buff is maybe his standing 4 connects into his overhead projectile now. Both hits hit Kitana. Whether they comboed or not, I don't know, but that would be a very interesting change, which means that they probably changed the hit advantage off of standing 4, or they made the overhead projectile faster, either of which I would welcome.
Or gave it more cancel advantage.
Yeah, so, which I don't know what that would mean for other things, but it could, some cameo silliness perhaps.
They've added a portal to Quan Chi, and they added that new kick, and both times all they did was show it in one of these videos, right? Like one of these sorts of things. They didn't say that shit until we had the patch notes. Well, it's like stuff that you pointed out, right? Like, oh my god, is that new?
Yeah.
That's new. Sort of like stuff. So maybe that's what this is too, or maybe the AI wasn't blocking, or whoever was holding the other controller like wasn't blocking. Because it doesn't matter how plus you are, right? There's plenty of things. You can be in 60 hit advantage, but if that's not a comboable state, your fastest button isn't going to combo into that. Like they can just block, right? Like why you can't combo from pokes, things like that. They'll just hard turn that shit off.
True.
So who knows?
It's tough to say. A secondary thing that I noticed, well, I can't say I noticed it, somebody pointed it out to me because I don't play the character, is Kitana's 3-4 string is now special cancelable. And I went into practice mode before we started here, just to confirm that right now it is not special cancelable. You can't
What's 3-4? Is that the booty? Is that the one where she bumps you with the butt on the 4 hit?
No, it's the double.
She jumps off the ground.
The double jump kick that she does. She jumps when she jumps at you, hits you with 2 kicks. We see her do the 2 kicks into the fan lift thing against Quan. So Kitana buffs on the horizon, which is not at all what I predicted. I think I said she's going to get nerfed, but I was wrong.
Yeah, I'm sure you're really happy about that.
I feel ways that are.
What is it about that string that they wanted to buff? Are Kitana players happy? Have you talked to like Retro or anything? Like,
I haven't talked to anybody to see. I imagine it probably makes her combos a little bit like combo pass in the corner a little bit better. Just from.
I don't think she needs that for comboing though, but it may open up new combo paths, right? Some like if you're hitting, especially with a string like 3-4. I don't know what kind of damage that does by itself, but 2 kicks in a row sounds like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, good for air-to-airs to like start a combo if you catch someone in air-to-air, or maybe different combo paths. I don't know. Kitana players out there, let us know in the comments what you're going to be doing with this, just so we have an idea. But I wanted to go over the star of the show, which I think we're both excited for, which was that Sareena change.
Mm-hmm.
So meter gain plus a damage buff on top of all of that?
Yeah, so baby. A new rune that she's got booty facing the opponent. She's right in front of you, but facing the other way. Like you guys are facing each other, like having a seance or something. Right. Somebody had speculated in the comments last week, and I thought was really cool, was like if they added something to Sareena, maybe if they spent the entire duration in the curse, then they'd enter like the trance state or something like that. And I was thought, that's a cool way, like a cool twist, like something they could add to her, like on something that she already has, but instead they gave her another rune, which makes sense. Well, I think it does, and I think it's cool.
I just want to say that both of us predicted this ahead of time, so we're obviously just smarter than everyone because we knew this was coming.
She's obviously fine without it, but she's just like, there's very little reason to use her outside of a few specific teams now that you have like Chameleon and shit like that, like running around. So just making her, and she doesn't have like a broke ambush like any, like these are ambushes, right? But they're like passive things. They're putting area effects on the ground that have buffs or nerfs depending on, well, what player character you are and whether you're in proximity of them or not. And I think that's a cool little twist, and it gives you something. It gives you an ambush, not like an unorthodox ambush, but that's psychological damage, I'm telling you.
It is.
Just the curse all by itself. Like, people get really anxious about it, and they want to move out of it, and that's exactly what you want them to do. And if you play a character that's like ready for that, that could definitely result in, full combo for bad movement.
I'm already like thinking about my zoning paths I'm going to do with Quan after a knockdown forward 4-4. Pull up Sareena, EX Bone Dome, EX freaking overhead projectile, because I know you're going to want to try and jump out of that Bone Dome. Purple stuff.
The first thing I thought about is how to make a sandwich Right. So she's not standing directly in front of me. I want to be standing in between the opponent and Sareena because I want her out, right? I don't want her to eat a projectile. Like, thanks for the damage, and now you're on, or, thanks for saving me from getting hit by a projectile, but now you're on cooldown for 6 seconds or whatever, and
Right.
my rune is gone. So there's lots of characters. Like if you time it right, anytime you have a side switch in a combo, and since it is an ambush, so like Noob's teleport, Melina's, but like when she ends her combo with like a forward 2 ball roll instead of the forward 4, that's how I create the like little sandwich setups with the normal curse. So it'll be like a version of that. And I want to explore how to get that because the positioning is different and stuff. But that's going to be, if I use Sareena, that's going to be like my first order of business is figuring out how to get her out
Yeah.
behind me instead of in front of me, which will be at the end of combos, which means that I'll probably be using it as setups, right? I have some hit advantage, like if I'm playing sector or something like that, right? And I'm gaining meter, and that might be just the meter I need to get that mid projectile out and meaty and stuff like that,
It really does feel like it was intended, like it really helps Quan out in a lot of things that he wants to do. Like Quan Chi, notoriously low damage, you get a damage buff. Very meter intensive with his zoning, you get meter gain. Like
get a
it's
meter, yeah.
Yeah, like and then of course it's the the lore team as well, couple of dark demon sorcerer and the demon, it's I don't know. I just think it's cool.
So one thing I kind of mess around with Geras and Sareena, which this was like way early into like year 1, but when I was messing around with that team and I get them, so I get a forward 4/4 into the standing one, whatever, 4/2/4 into the time freeze, and as soon as that time freeze comes out, I've got the curse locked and loaded, and they're frozen long enough in the little time freeze that you get the full duration of the curse, so they're not building any meter and you're draining their bar. So now, and you already know Geras shits out damage. So now in that situation, you bring out that thing. You just spent a bar on the time stop, but you have the new Sareena rune out, building you some of that meter back and increasing whatever damage you're doing while they're frozen. And might I add, you can't break. And this is all unbreakable and stuff too. That could get nasty, I feel like.
I never even thought about that pairing.
That could get ugly. And what I like about Geras Sareena is that he doesn't have to spend bar. Like if he just gets a standing 1 punish, he can just go right into Kia's blades.
Right.
And he gets the pea shooter, the forward cameo covers his forward 4/4 negative frames, and he can still combo. It's like one of those sorts of things, because you're a Geras player now.
I am a Geras player now. Funny how the times have changed. See what I did there? See what I did there?
Yeah. I do. Okay, zero.
So here is one that I wanted to kind of mention briefly. Is Homelander. So Homelander's forward 4 is now a mid. We don't know if that's the only change to him, but it's a big change.
That's one they wanted to point out, though.
Yeah, that's the one that they wanted to point out. And I had some people during the Bone Dome in the comments saying like, oh, they killed Homelander, blah, blah, blah. And I really don't think they did. Like, I think this was a necessary change because that mix-up was just too strong, in my opinion, for how fast that overhead option is. And it's not like forward 4 is even that bad of a move outside of that. Like, it's still a good whiff punishing move. And you're still going to have, like, instant air overheads and stuff. So, like, he just has to find another way to mix up.
Hitbox and stuff. It's just strike throw now instead of a mix-up.
Yeah.
Right.
So
it's not a 3-way mix-up. It's just strike throw.
They could have gutted something else about him and just absolutely killed him, but that's the only thing that we know changed for sure. So I don't think that change necessarily killed him if you're a Homelander loyalist for whatever reason. But
I feel like Homelander's hard to make work, I gotta say. I played a lot of Combat League this week, and every single Homelander I ran into, you could see them trying to do things that they see on like Rips Arena or like whatever, right? But it's not like some of these other characters. I'm way more scared of like a brand new player that's trying to like find their way around, or somebody that plays like casually, like they're I'm way more scared of like a Liu Kang or Scorpion than I'm a Homelander. But in the right hands, right, he's like one of the scariest characters in the entire game.
Yeah, Homelander.
But he definitely has a little bit of learning curve to like be good with him. So I could see that being like a real, a big bummer, right? Losing your low, your very far range low and stuff. Yeah. So I'm pouring one out for you, but also kind of fuck that character.
I agree. He's not fun to play against in this current state. So, and neither is Smoke. who got some buffs as well. So he can now do his cancels in the air. And looks like he has a restand for some reason. Like
if you spend bar, so the change they said, so his vapor, whatever it is, his back forward 3, which is what he can cancel. For the cancels on the ground, he can do that in the air, and if he spends bar on it, it restands them. I don't know if that's the end of the combo into like just hit advantage, like into plus frames, or if that's like just get them on the ground to finish your combo, but I would imagine it's probably the end of the combo, like
that's super cool.
Taking away armor options, and you're in so much hit advantage. How much hit advantage do you think is fair for something like that? You already know it's coming. Do you think that's going to be like +6, like Melina's teleport just hit you, or is it going to be like +18, like the sector cameo just flamethrowered you, and now he gets to jail whatever he wants?
If I had to guess, I would say +3 or 4. Like,
okay, I would guess low, like single digit hit advantage as well.
Yeah, so like he's forced to either take a guaranteed poke or make the guess that they're going to respect it and go with like a mid or a different mix-up or something. That would be my guess. If it's double digit positive, I am going to refund this game and go back to playing GoldenEye. I'm just kidding.
Dink loves smoke.
I don't know. I just don't click with that matchup. That's another reason why I'm stoked for like this replay takeover thing, so that like when I lose to smoke, I can go back and see like, okay, what could I have done in this situation? You know, that's a matchup that I'm excited to use that for.
I either feel like when I don't know anybody that plays the characters, so I only played them like in ranked or whatever, whenever I match up with somebody that way. And it's like when I do well against a smoke, like if I feel like I can shut down their game plan and punishes and stuff are on point, I almost feel bad for the player, right? It's like I understand why everyone thinks this character's so mid. But then you play somebody that's like super tight with them and doing things that you haven't seen before, and it feels like there's no way out. You're just in jail for like, double flawless type shit. And it's like, what the fuck? And then for the crime of trying to poke back, you just, die and stuff. It's like I thought I knew something about the matchup, but I absolutely do not. And then you can add, cameo layers and stuff to it. So he definitely has potential to be a really strong character.
A super annoying character. But we'll see.
Yeah, that's just kind of the nature of it, right? Doesn't it feel good to block the low, right? And he's so negative, you can just walk up slowly and then just do your slowest button and still punish him.
Just seeing that bounce as he like pops off of your block is so satisfying. It's so satisfying.
It is. I had to go lab it because I kept just doing. I usually just standing one punish until I like know better, but he's still in the air, and so I kept missing the punish. And I was like, oh, it's like -33. I can literally just walk up and standing 4. Yeah.
God forever, man. Last on our list here is a young Subzero, and I wanted to ask you about this because I said in my Kombat Kast reaction that the specific combo that they did with my limited knowledge of I bet that I
was thinking.
Yeah, I was like that path, like starting with that move, going into the ice clones, and then ending with this. I was like, that did 0 damage. So I wanted to fact check myself with you as someone who's played Subzero to make sure I was kind of right in my thinking on that. Maybe a little bit like hyperbole or whatever, but that scaled like shit.
Yeah, I have no idea. And they have to be thinking that. Why would you spend a bar of meter to do that as opposed to anything else? Unless it can combo, it's the only thing that can combo a specific way. Like, you're relegated to using it. And it like works in this sort of like scenario, which means that it would be like too niche probably. So what are they going to do about that damage scaling that's going to make it worth the bar? And Sub-Zeros they have the vapors thing or whatever, the down forward 4. They have to spend a bar for that adds that atrocious scaling to their combos that don't start with like a back 2 or something that can launch into cameo.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It definitely is going to have style points. Right. I can't wait to see some Motaro Tel turret just bouncing people like projectile clone
right
into some sort of sick whatever.
I don't know if that's me and I see them setting up those 3 clones. I'm just blocking low. Because, like, they're only going to be there for so long. What are you going to do, slide? Like, ooh, so scary. I don't know. Doesn't seem intimidating to me at all, but hopefully Sub-Zero players are happy.
If you get rocked by that overhead, I wonder if that bounces you directly up into the first clone, and he just gets the same combo.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
Bit of a mix there.
yeah.
Practice your overhead timing, peeps. Block that. Don't let Sub-Zero players win. We can't let them win.
The thing about blocking Sub-Zero's overhead, and it is like reactable, it's 2 hits, and only the first hit is overhead. So always block overhead then low, so they don't special cancel into slide and still get you. Like that's the tech, right? You're
There
gonna
you go.
confuse certain Sub-Zero players by just doing that.
Yeah. Get out of here, Sub-Zero players. I'm just kidding.
You're fine. I love Sub-Zero.
I love you all. They're just a couple of the more vocal ones. But we'll get into that another day. Last on our agenda is Ghostface. So they showed off like pretty much everything. I kind of memed a little bit about how it was just like Rambo kind of redone a bit. But I mean,
how are you supposed to look at that low crawl and not automatically think of MK11 Rambo? Like, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing with the low command grab, too. Like, come on now.
Yeah, it's kind of... I didn't like that part of it, but I will say a lot of the character is super well done, and I think a lot of the fans of the franchise will be happy with how he plays. That phone call move is absolutely hilarious. It's just so funny. Just the old 90s brick phone just comes in from behind, a quick little stab.
I think they nailed the character, like how I've kind of like really criticized how they handled Homelander, like just translating that character and like some misplays with some of his, like taunts and all of that sort of stuff. I have full confidence in them with this character. This is way more in their comfort zone, I think, and like where they get like really, really creative and really they're forced to because he's, a slasher. So he just fits the universe like naturally. Man,
so
I don't know.
What
do you think?
We were talking a little bit in the Discord yesterday about what is Shujinkydink going to steal from Ghostface?
Mm-hmm.
And will Shujinkydink have the mask on when he comes on screen the same way he has like Johnny's sunglasses and like Peacemaker's helmet?
There is no way they won't do that, right? He wears Peacemaker's helmet. He's the spirit when you steal from Ermac, right? He's the one that's up there lifting you, not the
that's so good.
The big spirit and stuff. There's no way he's not going to
oh man,
be doing something or like wearing the robe or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, wearing the robe. Oh, I never even considered that. I just went right to the mask. But yeah, robe would be cool.
Dude, the mask would be so funny. Oh my god.
I would look forward to that matchup just for that mask. I think, like, as far as kind of how they were describing his gameplay, like, he seems like, kind of does everything okay, kind of a thing. Just, and the moves and the animations are pretty cool. The switching between killers, I don't know. It seems pretty meter intensive to me. Like a bar to switch between them for 12 seconds, and if you get hit, it's back to the original.
Yeah, what a coincidence that they're giving a meter building ability to an existing cameo in the same patch that we've got another meter intensive character. I wonder if they're going to have any deliberate synergy. I have to say that when I first watched the Kombat cast, it was live, and so I was working. I work remotely, so I had it on the background, so I wasn't paying like explicit attention. But I got the general gist of it, and I watched the trailer and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, no, like I didn't like the extra switching between the different characters, the different ghost faces and stuff. It's like that sort of micromanagey shit. But then when I went back and I watched it like with my full attention later in the day, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize that they work like cameos, right? You hit them and they go away. You take the damage for their hit, and then they automatically go away, and the OG ghost face comes back in.
Right.
So that immediately piqued my interest. He's very early on my list. It's like Ashrah and then that Natara Frost thing. And then I'm going to be looking at Ghostface because that really interests me, because when people use that poorly, let's say they bring out the assassin and then the assassin gets hit, the opponent's already recovered from that hit, and the OG Ghostface is coming in from the other side or whatever, right? He's forced in as soon as the other one gets hit, and then could just eat the punish, depending on what the recovery is.
Right.
So sector rockets are going to be able to cover that, other sorts of like cameos. But I bet there might even be like good setups that allow you to do that like safely. I guess you can't really control, how you get hit, but maybe the scenario of
Yeah, it kind of
who knows?
forces
Anyway,
kind
I
of
got my brain
forces
working.
it forces your opponent to really think about, what they have to manage, what killers on screen too, to see what they're doing. Like, what if they're kind of freaking out and they hit the assassin killer with a fatal blow? Does that work? Like, is the assassin going to go away and then you can just full combo punish with like the OG killer? Like,
Right, but let's say that you're going too crazy with old Ghostface. You bring out the assassin, and you may not be in an advantageous situation the way that you set it up, and they immediately get like down 2 or down 1, go away, and then the other Ghostface comes running back in because he's forced on screen. Let's say he's got 20 frames of recovery, and all you did was poke the assassin out, right? So now you're eating a full combo too.
yeah, true.
I like that kind of like risk reward. Like, you're gonna have to be smart with it. That's how I expect it to work. I don't know that it's gonna work that way, but that's what I gathered from watching the Kombat cast.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. The moves, and like they kind of gave them like with the assassin, like a kind of, I wouldn't say they're zoning moves, but like counter zoning
I like the
moves.
assassin better.
Yeah,
You like the assassin or the enforcer better?
assassin for sure. Just like the
Yeah. Plus, it's Kira under there. I got my
It
little
is.
waifu Ghostface, man. She's out there doing butterfly knives and twirling around knife projectiles, and
Yep.
she got the Tanya dust from Pyro MK. It doesn't do the same thing, right? But that's what it reminds me of, the purple dust sort of thing. She looks sick. I hope she's the stronger one. I will live in that thing.
Yeah, I didn't realize until someone pointed it out that like in MK Deception, she was the replacement for Sonya, so she actually had the
Yeah.
kiss of death, which is kind of what
Yeah.
that thing is alluded to, which is part of the reason why I think she was so unpopular, because it wasn't that people necessarily disliked that character, but they disliked the fact that she replaced Sonya, and it was like,
I'm pretty sure I brought her up when before MK11 came out and we were speculating on characters and stuff. I'm pretty sure we talked about her a little bit, and we talked about just that, right? How she was a little bit of a Sonya. She was meant to be like a Sonya replacement, like a half Kano, half Sonya sort of thing. Kano's ball and Sonya's kiss of death, and she has both of those things.
yeah,
The assassin does.
it'll be disappointing if this is kind of how they put her in the game, because I do think she was one of the cooler characters. And I was kind of hoping to see her return, like in some form. I guess this is still kind of having her in the game, but just like not her own fleshed out character is kind of like disappointing. I think there's a lot of things I could have done
it's
with
better
her.
than not being in the game at all, which I think is
The alternative,
if
yeah.
they really, let's say she just did make her like really popular, right? And people were like, "Oh yeah, Kira, we forgot about Kira. Fuck yeah, Kira," sort
Right.
of thing. And there was like a big movement for, it, and they realized like, "Damn, we should put Kira in this game." I don't think they would be opposed to that. Like, who cares? It's Liu Kang's timeline or whatever it is that they want to do, right?
Yeah, they could bring her in. You don't really need a
I
reason
wouldn't put
for
it
it.
past. I wouldn't put it past them. But so you're gonna try Ghostface?
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a go. Fuck Cobra, to be honest. That character was always hot garbage.
I know. I hope he's not the good one. I hope
I
that, like
know.
his Rekkas and stuff like that aren't just like, okay, like you actually want to be in the Enforcer one. It's like, no, I don't want to be Cobra. I want
Cobra's so lame, like super duper lame. So that was a character that was hot garbage, and I never want to see again. But I am interested to see. I think I mentioned this, like if they kind of show the actual character models, or if they're going to be hidden behind the mask the whole time. And like at the end of maybe their win pose is all 3 of them or 2 of them taking their masks off, and just you have a cool little Kira design or Cobra design or whatever.
I'm not. That would be sick. I don't know if we'll see that, but someone pointed out, like, what's Ghostface going to look like in the middle of a fatal blow? It always takes off like your mask or anything else. Is like, when you wear like the Tanya's Union of Light that has like the spike fabric up top,
Right.
or Quan Chi's Order of Darkness. All of a sudden, he's like half naked because the robe disappears.
Yeah.
I imagine that would happen. Normally, characters wearing a mask, the mask goes away. So what happens when we fatal blow Ghostface? Do we get are we going to see Billy in there? Billy or Stu?
Maybe that's
Or
yeah, maybe
we
that's
just
how we
keeping the
see the
mask on?
character designs, you know? Like that's how you're going to be able to see it. Hit him with a fatal blow. There you go. You see the character designs. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm
So
excited either way.
yeah, both the Black Dragons will be meat shields, just like the way you already use Shujinko.
Yeah.
So if you play Ghostface Shujinko, you've got Shujinko plus the other two, right?
Meat shield extravaganza, like a shield charcuterie board, you know?
Yeah.
Pick your meat shield.
His mid looks really good. His or her. Their mid looks really good.
Their mid does look very good. And that's really important in MK1, in fighting games in general, I guess.
Forward advancing
mids, like sectors forward too. Super good.
I was playing a little bit of Melina earlier, and I gotta say, it feels very nice having that kind of standing one. You know, having a bad standing one or a bad down one, let alone having both, and that's Camp Geras and a couple other characters.
Womp womp.
Tanya, I think, is one of those characters. That sucks. That's a rough life. I don't like playing characters like that.
Yeah,
Katara is that way too, but she compensates in other ways, I guess.
I'm used to it from playing Quan. So like when I picked up Geras, it was just like instinctual for me to just not even use down one. I don't even use it with Quan. Like I'll just wait for my turn, or when I think I can steal a turn, you just use down 4 instead.
Quan's is a speed issue, right? Not a range issue. Doesn't his have a disjointed hitbox?
Yeah,
or is
it's
that
a little
down
bit.
4?
It's a little bit rangy. The down 4 is more what I would consider disjointed.
Yeah, he's got like Melina's down 1. He's got like good branches, just 9 frames.
9 frames, yeah.
So you can't use it in the traditional way.
-8 on block, I think. So like Sareena reversal can just straight up punish it. Like sick, love that. Woo, go Quan.
Can it?
Yeah.
Is it that fast?
At least it did at one point. I remember labbing that.
I use it. Yeah, I use it for gaps and stuff. I don't think I've ever tried to use it on poke reversal. Interesting.
Yeah.
It would probably be counter poking too.
I don't think they've changed that at all. That's just something that's kind of existed in that realm. But I think we've gone over everything we wanted to go over this week. Another good week. I'm excited for some nerfs, some buffs, some Ghostface, and all the stuff they haven't even mentioned yet. Oh boy, we're sitting pretty for MK1. But that's it. As usual, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, because it really helps me out, and subscribe if you haven't, because we make new videos almost every single day. #Bonehawks, all that stuff, and we'll see all you Bonehawks in the next video.
Accept your death.